Everyone's done a review of the Boss Katana guitar amp and it's all very favourable, but how does it perform on keyboard? For this review I'm going to use a Roland D5, not because it's a brilliant synthesizer or a classic, I'm using it because it's uninteresting. That is of course just by today's standards. It lacks a lot of things that we take for granted, in particular a good effects system. That's where the Katana comes in. And by the way, just to be clear, this is the Boss Katana 50 Mark II. Just trying to get a clean sound here. Boost right down to 0 maybe? I'm not saying it's a bad sound, but we're still not quite clean. So we're on clean channel there, gain at 0, volume halfway. Boosters on green, so all settings are pretty conservative and the volume on the keyboard is at about 3/4. We're still getting distortion. Let's try changing channels here. Okay, that one's got a bit of oscillation, so let's change to a more electric piano sort of sound. Okay, so we're still overdriven. Why don't we switch to some organ sounds and go for that deep purple crunch organ tone. For this I will switch to crunch. Okay, I can tell the amp's got significantly louder there, so I'm just going to switch back to 0.5 watts just to give us an easy start. Wow, even with the gain on 0, that's pretty intense. I've also turned the input volume on the keyboard right down to almost 0 too, so we're getting a lot of power coming through. Let's reduce that preamp volume there. I've got a feeling our chords are going to be pretty rough. Yeah, I quite like the tone though. Let's mess around with the equalizer. Let's put it all in the middle to start with. And scoop it. Yeah, that's pretty nice. We'll mess with modulations again, going through the whole spectrum. Oh yeah, no modulation. Yeah, I'm liking that one. You probably heard my fingers on the actual keyboard there, so let's be gutsy and turn it up to 25 watts. Oh. Well, they say this is an amp that simulates the valve sound very strongly, and it's certainly coming through here. It's clearly a rock and roll amp. We're pretty far into it now, and I really haven't heard anything that sounds like a clean or soft sound. Okay, let's turn up the delay again. And change types. Okay, well not much else to do but try out some of these different drive sounds. We're on to lead now. Alright, more of a 60s overdriven Doors sound. And we got variations on each of these drives too. Yeah, I really like that one. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm liking it. Brown. Quite a lot of noise creeping through, but it's worth it. Let's turn down that master volume, go to our 50 watt model. it just gets better and better. Okay, switching right back to clean now. Virtually no gain, virtually no volume. 50-watt system. We might punch in a bit more master volume. And finally we're getting something quite clean. And again, we'll test out some modulations. Yeah, that rotary really works. What else do we have? Some of those higher notes sort of getting lost in it there. It's a nice phased sound, but that could be a real issue for a keyboard player. Yeah, I could hear the mid-range so much more than those high notes. Let's try to equalize it in a little bit. Let's try a different modulation. Same issue. There might be a way to tease out a bit more of that treble mix there, but I have a feeling it's kind of getting lost in the swirl of modulation and the inherent drive of the Katana amp, which is pretty strong. Let's try a different synth sound. Okay, well the amp gives that boring sound quite a lot more swirl and ambience. I can see that sound used in a show where we get off to a sedate kind of a start, but there's a promise of quite heavy distortion down the track. In fact, let's add some. Yeah, some bad chords there, but that sounded pretty good. Lead tone. Okay, well let's wrap this up. Well, what did you think, friends? I've got to tell you, that was completely not what I was expecting. I thought there'd be a lot more variety in tones. I thought the modulation effects would come to the fore much more than what they did, but they did arrive at a very nice place, and I really do like that overdriven sound. The trouble is, for some keyboardists, if that's not quite what you're searching for, the Katana's not really right for you. And to be fair, it's not a keyboard amp. If you want your keyboard to do all the work, then you need to get an amp that's just going to deliver a clean sound as loudly as possible. In this experiment, we were trying to add something with the Katana amp, which we certainly did. We got a non-stop rock sort of sound. So if you've got an old boring synthesizer like this old Roland, and you want to spice it up, and you're in a rock band that needs that kind of sound, then this could be a great way to go. I've got a feeling I'll get a fair bit of criticism about this video saying, you didn't try this, you didn't try that, you didn't use it right. And my response to that is, hey, criticize away. Leave your comments. Please like or subscribe to Gearfacts as well. Hope you have a good one. Boss Katana.